Hey everyone, Jeremy from Soaring Eagle Bushcraft here. I'm going on a little solo hike today, a little short one out some woods that I'm pretty familiar with, been in several times. Using my Ion Air Pro, it's my first time with this camera. Just wanted to give it a shot, see how it does on video as far as quality, and then also the audio, so we can tell if I need to talk louder when I'm doing videos or if it's coming out right. The noise you may hear in the background is hundreds of thousands of cicadas. This is the year of the 17-year cicadas in northern Ohio when they come out of the ground and they come up and they do their mating and their different things that they do. And the noise you hear are the male cicadas, from what I understand, and they have some muscle that they can contract and they make a noise, and it's kind of their mating call. So you'll be hearing a lot of that as I'm going through the woods. You may see a few of them fly by. They're everywhere. Wife and I went out on a dinner date last night and went to a restaurant on a small lake here nearby, and we sat outside and ate and had a couple land on us and land on the table. So they're everywhere. You will hear them. Hopefully you can hear me over top of them because they are pretty loud. But be heading into the woods here pretty shortly, and I'll let you see what I get to see out here. Last time I was here, we saw a baby fawn, a baby deer fawn out here in the woods, just knelt down in the weeds. Almost missed it, almost stepped. So here we are, heading into the woods. This path that I'm on is not a man-made walking path. It's actually a deer path, and kind of stumbled across it probably back in the winter time, late winter. My brother and I went on a small hike and discovered this path, and been out here a few times since. It's certainly growing up and getting lots more greenage and life out here, so the path is not even as evident as it was when I first discovered it. But I know where we're going, so we'll just keep going through the woods here, see if we see any wildlife, any animal activity. I know there's a lot of deer in this area. I think I found a bedding area, and I've seen lots of tracks through here. The ground's pretty dry right now, so I'm not seeing a whole lot, but as we get in further, I think we'll be able to see a little bit more of evidence of where the deer have been. This is actually the area where I found some fatwood, one of the first trips out here. I'm going to do a little ducking to get under some branches. And you can see the path is kind of a clear way ahead of me here, so you can see that there has been some activity. I don't think there have been many people in here besides myself. Approaching a small hill here. We'll be going down that here in just a few minutes. Across from me, there's another hill just on the other side of this short ravine here, and on that hill is actually railroad tracks. So we could even hear a train go by in the near future. One went by just as I got here before I got ready to hit the trail, but you never know what we might hear out here. So here's the trail. See, there's a lot of dead, fallen trees in here, and the first time I came out, I was kind of wondering what may have caused it, and I think it was Tracy that was the one that hinted it probably was a heavy wind. And as I get down to the base here, you'll see a lot more of these trees, and they're all the same direction. Looks like there goes the train, if you can hear it in the background. But all the trees had blown from the same direction and are all laying. Looks like the wind came out of the west and blew them eastward, and actually pretty good sized trees, and most of them were uprooted or snapped off at the base. So as we get down here, you'll see it's quite a mess, but it's all part of what nature has done, I believe, in the heavy winds. So here are a lot of them. There's one, actually a fairly large one here. It's probably, I don't know, 16, 18 inch diameter, that didn't quite make it to the ground. It hit another tree as it was falling, and I don't know how many years it's been like this, but it's been laying like that. A couple of the kids that I brought out here, my teenage boys and their friends, have climbed up on it a little bit and had some fun. But beyond that, there are a lot of dead trees. They're all in the same area, all basically laying the same direction. So it's one of the interesting things that I found when I was out here hiking one of the first couple of times. So if I were to continue, and I'm heading east right now, you can see down here a lot of deer tracks in this area, and this is where I've spotted the majority of them, right at the base of this hill, which is, yeah, we're probably only 30 feet away from the hill. So I know that deer are down in here pretty frequently. But if I continue east, as I was saying, and head just a little bit south towards the train, there is a bridge where the train goes over top of some running water, and I believe the water that's there is part of the Huron River, which is pretty well known in the area that I live in here, and near where I work at as I travel about 30 miles away from home to get to work. And the Huron River runs kind of between along my drive between that area. So I'm going to duck through here, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but right here we have the shell that a cicada has climbed out of. And as I look up above me, there are a whole bunch of them. They are just everywhere. So you can imagine how many cicadas must be in this general vicinity just based on the shells that are here that they have climbed out of to find their new life outside of the shell that they were in. But they're everywhere. Kind of surprised I don't see many living in this specific area, but I see shells everywhere I look. So we'll continue on. See if we can get to the river. You can see a little bit of water. Again, more of the fallen trees. Well, here's a live one. You can see that. He's just hanging out on this little tree here. So, and I am not an expert by any means of trees. That's one of the things I want to learn in the near future, so I'm not even going to pretend that I know what a tree is and call it out. If any of you want to call out specific things that you see and want to comment on them below in the video, then I would appreciate it, and I'm sure others would as well. Running into lots of spider webs as I walk through here, which don't bother me. So there are several different points that I have crossed and ran into the part of the river that I was telling you about. It's like a feather of some sort. So, another little part of nature out here. I was saying about the river, there are some little sections of water that come in that are branches off of the river that are easily passable. You can climb over. There's fallen trees over top of them, and then there's going to be some wider areas that we're about to run into up here, and this is the area I was telling you about with the bridge. So with the bridge and the tunnel going under it, if you were to cross under here, which I've done a couple times, and go south, you actually cross onto private property. So I haven't spent much time over there. I stay on the park side here. Here's a rather large tree. Again, I don't know what kind it is, but you can see that it's been laying here for a while. A lot of rot and moss and possibly some digging up. Looks like where some animals have been here, maybe raccoon, some evidence of that. And over here is the bridge and the river. So again, last time I was out here, I brought my son and a friend, and just as we got into the woods, started heading this way, it started raining on us a little bit, and it started raining harder. So where did we go? Right back under the bridge. It was a good shelter, keep us out of the rain. The boys got to play around a little bit as they enjoy. The friend that was with us was actually going to climb across the log at the other end there. Get a little echo as I'm in here. Again, you can see lots of deer prints. You can see they pass under here the same way that I am right now. Little boy is a good friend of the family's. It's actually my daughter's boyfriend. His name's Carter. He was going to cross on this small log, which is maybe 5 or 6 inches. That's the point where he was at. Got about halfway across, and it was really starting to sag and bow on him, and I thought for sure he was going in, which it's not real deep, but didn't have any dry clothes and didn't really want to get his shoes all wet, so he came back. But that's just kind of neat to see the running water, to hear the sound of it going over the rocks. Hear the cicadas in the background. You can see up above here on the bridge, it was built in 1902. And actually this tree that's going up here, my son kind of was shaking it a little bit, and it was about to fall, and I told him to leave it alone, let nature take its course. If it were going to fall, it's going to fall eventually, but to leave it alone. I'm sure it wouldn't have taken much to knock it down. So this is I believe the private property side of the bridge. We'll head back over. The water level, I believe, was actually up quite a bit from where it is today. It was probably, I would guess at least a foot deeper when we were in here, and was flowing pretty good, pretty steady flow, and now it's not moving much. This was something we discovered when we were down here last time as well, and I'm not real sure what did it, but the boys actually tore this area up with their fingers or foot or whatever, but you can see it looks like something was tunneling under the ground and is heading out this way. I don't know what kind of creature does that, but there's obviously something in here that was doing that. This is one of the wider areas of the water. You can see it's flowing much heavier on that side. It's the natural flow of the river. Now, I've been thinking about, and I don't think it'll happen in the near future, but I've been thinking about and talking about getting a canoe or a kayak someday. I love canoeing, have never tried kayaking, but I'm not sure the water's deep enough in this area, but it would be a fairly easy place to get to, where I could drop a canoe in there if I wanted to. Go for a little paddle along the river. I know in the area closer to where I work, where the same river flows, is much deeper and wider, and they actually have lots of people that do go canoeing in that area. So I'm just going to follow the river for a little bit here. Again, more of the fallen trees in this same vicinity. These are actually laying a different direction. Could be from the same winds, just change direction. Back towards the way, back to the woods, away from the river. All different kinds of plants and vegetation in here, and coming out in the winter time with my brother, seeing some of the different plants, because we had such a mild winter and the temperatures were so warm. Some of the plants were popping up, and it was kind of unusual to see them in the months that we were in here, but looks like we've got some growth on a tree, and again, whoever the experts are that know what we have, what this is, can certainly make comments below, because I don't know what they are. I know there's some kind of fungus growing on a tree, but that's as much as I know. Now this tree over here, I'm not sure I've ever seen it before, but I'm going to go check it out. Looks like it's got some really black on the base of it. Almost looks burnt. I don't know if it is or not, but I'm going to take a look at it. Oh, just the bark. Okay. It looks like a dying tree. The bark is all falling off. And doesn't look like it'll be around much longer. Pretty dead. There's a lot of evidence of woodpeckers around here also. You can see a lot of destruction to these trees. Both natural and whatever else may have caused it. So I actually had my wife volunteered to come out with me, and she's not much into the outdoors or the woods or anything, but she wanted to come on a hike with me, so I brought her out here, and that was probably nearly a month ago. And it was very swampy down here. We got down and really had to search for an area to cross the water and the swampy parts of the woods, and you can see this was one of the very swampy areas here. You can see how muddy it was, and kind of still is a little bit. A lot of leaves, dead leaves that you can tell have been very wet underwater. We're not real sure how many acres there are in this woods. I'd like to find out. Maybe I'll find that out before I do the next video out here. But so at the top of this hill, kind of goes back out into the flat area that goes around. This is the reservoir of the city that I live in, Willard, Ohio. And there's a fairly wide path of grass where they mow frequently around the base of the reservoir, and then at the top is the reservoir itself, and there's a walkway that's gravel up there. It's about, I think, 2.5 miles around. A lot of people come out here to walk around it to get their exercise. It's a nice clean area. They can bring their dogs or whatever. And there's also fishing. People can go fishing in the reservoir. Some take boats, small boats. But there's a few neat things. I remember as a kid coming out here with the boys from our church, and we had a camp out, and my dad and one of the other guys was a leader, and he had, I don't know, probably 6 or 8 kids that we came out, and I was probably, I don't know, 10 or 12 years old. And we camped out right at the edge of these woods, went on a small hike, and had a good time. I remember doing that, and hadn't been back out here for years and years, and I think this winter was the first time I came back out and hiked this trailer. So I typically would go more east and a little north of here because the woods kind of jog up, but I just kind of circle back around to where I came in, back up the same hill, and I'm gonna hike out. So I just wanted to bring you along, try out my new action cam, see how it does, and just see what we run into out here. So haven't seen a lot of wildlife, but I did see a groundhog. Actually, I'm going to pick that up. Looks like there has been somebody else here, and we'll throw this away for them. People who don't know how to pick up their own garbage, apparently. But I did see a groundhog coming in before I came into the woods with the camera on. And I've seen a few different kinds of bugs. Nothing too exciting. Don't want to bore you with them. So, I'm going to head back out. Head back to the Jeep. Grab some supper. Go home and relax for a little bit before it's time to go to bed and get up and start the work week over again. Alright, so I'm back out of the woods and the wide path behind me here. I'll be heading out very soon, heading back to the Jeep. So again, I want to thank you all for joining me, and I hope to make it back out here again real soon and be talking to you. Hoping to do some videos real soon again at home on some different things about my bushcraft knives. Today I'm wearing my Colonial, as you can see right here, and the Colonial Defiant CE 400, one of my favorite knives, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a video soon coming. Also, I'm planning on trying a bow drill in the near future, and I'm planning on videotaping that, so we'll see how I do with that. So again, talk to you all soon. Thank you again. This is Jeremy from Soaring Eagle Bushcraft. Bye for now.